The moment I found out, I was sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee going cold in my hands. My phone buzzed. It was a screenshot, my own private messages, sent to someone who had been my enemy for years. At the bottom of that screenshot was a name I never expected to see. My best friend of 12 years had sold me out. For money. We had been inseparable since college. She was the one who held my hand when my father passed away. She was my maid of honor at my wedding. We had matching tattoos and a tradition of meeting every Sunday for brunch. I would have trusted her with my life. That was exactly the problem. I did trust her with my life, and she sold it. About a year before everything fell apart, I had landed the biggest opportunity of my career. I'd been headhunted for a senior position at a competing firm, a rival company that had always been at war with my current employer. I told no one at work, but I told her every detail, every salary figure, every secret strategy I'd shared in confidence with my boss. What I didn't know at the time was that she was drowning in debt. Serious, dangerous debt to people who don't wait patiently for repayment. She'd made bad investments, borrowed from the wrong sources, and was 3 months away from losing everything. And then someone approached her. Someone who knew exactly what my friendship was worth and was willing to pay for it. The buyer was my boss's wife. She had suspected her husband was planning to leave the company and take key clients with him, and she wanted ammunition. She needed proof, insider information, anything that could destroy him professionally before he could make his move. My friend became her paid informant. $10,000 for 6 months of my secrets. My friend didn't stop at the job offer. She shared my therapy sessions. The anxiety I'd confided about, the marriage difficulties I'd mentioned in a moment of vulnerability, the health scare I'd begged her never to repeat. Every Sunday brunch had become a data extraction meeting, and I had happily handed over everything, spooning it out with my scrambled eggs. The first sign something was wrong came from a colleague who pulled me aside in the hallway. He told me quietly that senior management seemed to know things, personal things about me, that no one in the office should know. I laughed it off. I assumed it was office gossip. I couldn't imagine for 1 second where it was actually coming from. Then I was passed over for a promotion I had been guaranteed. My boss's demeanor shifted completely, from mentor to cold stranger overnight. Meetings I used to be included in were suddenly closed to me. My access to certain files was quietly revoked. I could feel my career collapsing in slow motion, and I had absolutely no idea why. The screenshot that destroyed everything was sent to me by someone I barely knew. A mutual acquaintance who had accidentally been forwarded it and recognized my name. She didn't know what she was sending me. She thought I should know someone was spreading my private messages around. What she actually did was pull the pin on a grenade that had been sitting in my hands for months. I drove to her apartment that same night. I didn't call ahead. My hands were shaking the entire drive, and I kept telling myself there had to be an explanation, that there was some misunderstanding. That 12 years of friendship couldn't just be a lie. When she opened the door and saw my face, she didn't look confused. She looked caught. She didn't deny it. That was the part that broke me more than anything. She sat down on her couch and she told me everything. The debt, the contact, the money. She cried. She said she had no choice. She said she'd tried to tell me but couldn't find the words. And then she said the sentence I will never forget for the rest of my life. She said, "I told myself it wasn't really hurting you." I had to leave. I walked out of her apartment and sat in my car for 40 minutes, unable to start the engine. Because that sentence told me everything. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't desperation overriding her judgment. She had made a choice over and over again, every single Sunday, and told herself a story so she could live with it. The professional fallout was devastating. I had to resign before I was fired. The evidence had been used against me in ways I'm still untangling legally. I lost clients I had spent years cultivating. I lost my reputation in an industry where reputation is everything. I had to start completely over at 34 years old, and I had to do it alone because my support system had been the weapon used against me. The lowest point came 3 weeks later. I was sitting in a nearly empty apartment. I'd had to downsize quickly, eating cereal for dinner, watching my phone for a job callback that wasn't coming. And I realized something. I was grieving. Not my career, not even the betrayal. I was grieving her. I was grieving the person I thought she was, who never actually existed. 6 months later, she tried to contact me, not to apologize, to tell me she'd paid off her debt and was doing better. As if I was a chapter in her recovery story. I didn't respond, but I didn't feel rage either, which surprised me. I felt something quieter and more permanent. I had learned, at great cost, exactly what I was worth to certain people, and I had learned what I would never accept again. I rebuilt. It took 14 months and more humility than I knew I had. I found a new role, smaller, but mine, built on my own integrity. I found a therapist who helped me understand why I had ignored the quiet warning signs that were always there. I found friendships that moved slower, built on less intense disclosure, and were somehow deeper for it. Here is what I want you to take from this. Real friendship is not measured by how much someone knows about you. It's measured by what they do with that knowledge. Trust is not something you owe someone because of history. It's something that has to be earned in the present, again and again. And the most expensive lesson I ever learned is that the person most capable of hurting you is the one you never thought to protect yourself from.